Please give a big round of applause to Naidu sir and welcome him to the podium.
Vice Chancellor, Gujarat Technological University, Dr. Akshay Agarwal ji, Secretary Urban Development, Gujarat Government, Ms. Mona Kandar, Sri J.C. Lidani, Professor N.K. Goyal, Sri Professor Rajnikant Patel, Sri Harinarana, Professor and my neighbor in my state. His father and myself were jailmates. Jail not because of the recent scams. To fight for the rights of the people. During emergency I was in jail for no fault of mine for 17.5 months. I was a student studying law and I invited Jayaprakash Narayan to the university. They said it's a great mistake committed by me. On that count they put me in jail. That has really changed my course of life. Otherwise I would have been some advocate arguing some right and wrong cases in Supreme Court or High Court. Whatever it is. Friends, I'm extremely happy today here in Gujarat. Gujarat is a place of happening. It was Mahatma Gandhi who has shown the light during the freedom movement. It was Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel after the independence who has unified the country. It was Morarji Desai who led the first non-Congress government in India. And now it's Sri Narendra Bhai Modi who is leading a resurgent India, who is striving hard to make India strong, stable, prosperous, inclusive in growth. That's the noble mission he has taken up. Everywhere there is a talent here. I think something is there in this soil and this land, in this land and water. Even the Amul, the revolution, white revolution that has come for the country also started from here. Friends, the idea of this Smart City Development School is really wonderful. See, Gujarat thinks up much ahead of others. We were only discussing about smart cities. You are starting a school for already for smart city this thing. I compliment the Gujarat Technological University for taking this initiative. Friends, this is yet another manifestation of such vision and initiatives. I am delighted to be associated with its inauguration. Gujarat is known as a land of visionaries, innovation, action, entrepreneurship, vibrancy, besides being a pioneer in nation building. So hats off to the people of Gujarat that way. You are showing the light to others and then taking lead in various walks of public life. Friends, there is a new wave of hope and expectation which is sweeping across the country as a concerted effort is being made by the central government led by Sri Narendra Bhai Modi to build a new resurgent India, a new India in which the people will find their aspirations, hopes becoming reality is in the making. The series of new initiatives have been launched and more are in the offing to ensure that India and its people rise to their full potential. Sriman Atal Bihari Vajpayee, he has really tried to tap the inherent strength and talent among the people of India. He led the revolution of connectivity in the country, air connectivity, rail connectivity, highway connectivity, rural connectivity, tele-connectivity, television connectivity, port connectivity and political connectivity also. He brought his four-way highway. 50 years we had one way or no way, but he brought four-way highway. And then television. Earlier, 50 years, there used to be only one channel, Doordarshan. Dur se darshan karna, black and white dekhna. He brought television revolution in the country. Port connectivity also, you have seen how the Kandra port, even the Mundra port, every port now there is a lot of activity now, income generating activity. And he brought the revolution of reaching out the villages. Pradhan Mantri Sadak Yojana was also one of the great initiatives of that man, great person. And then politically also he brought 23 political parties together. In Tamil Nadu, DMK, PMK, ADMK, MDMK, and then in Karnataka, Lok Shakti, and then in Andhra, Telugu Desam, Maharashtra, Shiva Sena, Punjab, Akali Dal, Orissa, Biju Janata Dal, Bihar mein Samata, Bengal mein Mata, Puri Desh mein Bharatiya Janata. 23 political parties he brought together and then gave a able leadership and a stable government to the country, which resulted in some growth. But unfortunately, in between, we missed the growth. I don't want to be political and criticize anybody on this occasion here in this August occasion. The fact of the matter is that the development has taken a beating. We now again, people in their collective wisdom have given a massive good mandate to the new leader, Mr. Narendra Modi. Modi means 3D, decisive, dynamic and development oriented. Now he has added fourth D also. Modi, fourth D, decisive, development, dynamic and now devolution, which is a evolution and a revolution to the economies of the state. He converted the Finance Commission recommendations and now transferring around 49.5% of the central revenues to the states and local bodies. It is a great revolution to strengthen the states, because unless the states are strengthened, the country cannot strengthen. Unless the urban local bodies are strengthened, you cannot expect the state to strengthen also. Keeping that principle in mind, he had a vision and then he has taken these decisions. Friends, this building 100 smart cities is one of such new initiatives. It is his baby. This idea has captured the imagination of the people across the country ever since Narendra Bhai has first floated this during the campaign. It is a classic case of an idea whose time has come and no one can stop it. This idea needs to be understood and appreciated in the larger context of growing urbanization in our country. Now 37 crore Indians, accounting for 31% of the country's population, are living in urban areas, and this is estimated to increase to 60 crores by 2030 and 90 crores by 2050. Urbanization has become a reality. Even I have migrated from rural development to urban development. Earlier I was rural development minister. Now I am an urban development minister. That's the reality of the situation. Friends, the more than 300 towns are becoming now joining this new population. 50,000 above, there are 4,041 notified towns across the country. So we have to take care of these cities. As against the statutory towns as per 2011 census, we have now 4,041. These are urban areas which are run by municipalities or corporations. So we have large number of urban habitations run and managed by non-urban governance structures, which itself is a challenge. This suggests that India's demography is set to undergo radical transformation, throwing up the process new challenges, and these challenges need to be converted into new opportunities. Urbanization and economic growth are closely interlinked. Effective management of urbanization is necessary to give further boost to economic growth. The rural to urban migration, which is a principal driver of urbanization in our country, is a socio-economic process propelled by people's aspiration and ambition to a better living. Education, entertainment, employment, enhanced health facilities, economic living, they are making the people to travel from the rural area to urban areas. All of them are concentrated in urban areas in our country. That's a reality. This migration-driven urbanization in our country over the last few decades have resulted in a serious mismatch between the demand and supply for social, physical, economic and institutional infrastructure in urban areas, adversely affecting the quality of urban life. It's a reality. The poor quality of urban infrastructure and quality of life adversely impacts economic activity. Gujarat model. People in Gujarat are not asking for free power, they are asking for quality power. They are asking for assured power, and they are paying for it and they are getting it also. This should be the model for the entire country. Free power means first low power, then no power. No power is free power only. People want, the farmer want The industry person wants, the manufacturer wants 12 hour, 14 hour electricity supply, not 1 hour supply and then afterwards no reply. That should not be the situation. So we have to think in terms of engaging the people, educating the people, reforming the mindset of the people. When we talk of these smart cities, there is interest from all countries. 14 countries have shown interest. They met me. They all wanted to participate in smart city development. A lot of countries like America, Canada, Japan, Singapore, China, Malaysia, Germany, Spain, Netherlands, Sweden, England, Turkey, France, Australia, all of them have shown interest and some more countries are showing interest. But there is a huge resource requirement for the smart cities. Some people are thinking smart cities are going to be created by Narendra Modi. He is not a modern Indra to create a city and then bring it here and then place it somewhere. You are seeing how the gift city is taking time, how much time this Gandhinagar has taken. Cities cannot be constructed overnight. It cannot be constructed overnight. It takes time, but it needs planning, it needs involvement of the people, it needs money also. So the government is very clear in its mind that the money that is going to come for the smart city is only through PPP model. People, public, private investment. That is going to be the main guiding principle for the smart cities. Let people understand it properly. Then second is we need to have technology. We are ready to take technology from others. Others are ready to give us technology. And thirdly, we have to bring in reforms where people are made to understand that they have to pay for the services. If they want to have better living conditions, if they need to have better services, then for that also you need investment. Then friends, these smart cities need smart leadership, as was told by Secretary earlier. Smart do not mean in dress, hat, coat, boot, suit, tie. No, not in dress or not in address also. What is required is a vision. You need a leader with vision, with clarity, with determination, with devotion, with character, with caliber, with capacity and conduct. You need smart people also, who are willing to pay, who are willing to take some pains, who are willing to be partners in development. You need smart leadership and you need smart people also. Then only you will have a smart city. Otherwise it's not easy. Smart city does not mean simply constructing concrete buildings. You need life. Without life, nobody will stay in the smart city. By evening they will look to Ahmedabad. The reason is because, as I told you, smart city includes education, includes entertainment, includes economic activity, includes enhanced health facilities, includes better environment. So all these things has to be created with the participation of the people. That's what we are trying to. And then you need to have ICT. You need to have information technology put in a better manner so that you can really see, for example, now when you construct cities or roads and all, one day R&B fellow will come and dig the road, one day municipality fellow will come and dig the road, another day electric fellow will come and he will dig the road, next day telecom fellow says, now my turn, I have to do it, and then lastly drainage fellow comes and then drowns everything and goes away. So what is required is you need to have a duct system, that is being done now in Gift City, wherein you can take all these lines together. Some such thinking is required. For that, people's cooperation is needed. You need to educate the people. Technology is one thing. Change of mindset of the people also is another thing. See, you are seeing the Swachha Bharat, the great initiative taken by our Prime Minister. Swachha Bharat will be successful only if people's involvement is there. That's why Prime Minister told me, Venkaiah ji, Swachha Bharat ko ek Jan Andolan banaiye. Don't make it a government program or a political program. Usko ek Jan Andolan ka roop dena. I am happy. In the country, people are coming forward, they are becoming part of this Swachha Bharat Abhiyan. It needs to catch up further. We are moving in that direction. And it has to be a regular affair. It cannot be one day affair of ceremony. It's like your beard. Every day you have to shave it. Otherwise you will become a sadhu. If you don't shave it and say next October 2nd I will do it, I have done now 1 year, you can't. You have to do it on a daily basis. You need to take care of your house, your surroundings, your neighborhood, your temple, your place of worship, Gurudwara, or mosque, or church, whatever it is, your school, your workplace, your shop, your restaurant, everywhere, everybody at every level has to take interest, and then only there will be Swachha Bharat. Otherwise it's not possible. So friends, secondly, the use of renewable energy, that's also an important component. You have to reduce the emissions. Infosys has come with some new ideas. Terry has come with some new ideas. Worldwide new technologies are coming. You need to go for solar power. You have to harness solar power. It should become part of our system, our city governance. So it has to be slowly made mandatory. Now I have recently in Delhi I have seen 5 lakh street lights. We have converted them into LED with an agreement, without investment by Government of India, without investment by state government, without investment by municipality. They said they will correct it back through the energy saving, which is going to accrue. They said 40% saving. It's a great idea. So the entire country should think on those lines, and slowly we must go for LED lighting. And then solar. India, we are very fortunate. When I go abroad, people will be seeing that there is a brightness that day, and they will see weather condition and they say, very happy, today is a sunny day. I couldn't understand initially, what is sunny day? Sunny day, daughter's day, I said, kya? So no, sunny means bright. I said, what is great? They said, sir, today is sunny day. But then I told them, in India, 365 days are sunny days. We have that great opportunity of sun. So we have to harness the sun and then convert it to solar power. Then we need to think of in terms of water harvesting. Every drop of water has to be preserved in every house, in every field. Then only, otherwise, you know, the groundwater levels are going down day by day. In certain states, 1400, 1200, 1000 feet depth bore wells has to be dug, and then how much power is consumed. So you need to, thanks to the vision of Gujarat, Narendra Bhai, or before that Keshu Bhai, this watershed management in the rural areas, they have taken up on a massive scale, and then linking up Narmada, bringing it to Sabarmati. All these things have made Gujarat today in a comparatively comfortable position vis-a-vis water. So you need to think in terms of not only connecting the rivers, but also preserving every drop of water, making it mandatory for urban plan approval to have a rainwater harvesting system, even a small thing in their house. Every house must be mandated to have a water harvesting system. Secondly, as I told you, these watersheds in the rural areas also are a must. And then thirdly, we have to find out methods of conserving the water rather than wasting the water. Technology should be used in that direction also. And then fourthly, the public places management, we need to involve people so that they manage it in a better manner. And then, as it was said, that first of all you have to inculcate a pride in their own city, as it was said rightly by the Vice Chancellor. You need to inculcate a pride. You need to feel proud about your native place, our native town. Then only you start work for that. So that also should be part of the curriculum. Unfortunately, in our country, the culture and heritage, they are neglected. That was our strength. That is our strength. In the entire world, India is recognized and respected mostly because of our spiritualization and our culturalization and our cultural and our heritage. But unfortunately, with the advent of invasion by Western powers and also by others, we have become slaves for some time, and slavish mentality has come to us. Everything foreign is great, everything India is bad. Our old, what is this old? Old is gold. We have to understand that. There is a science behind everything which our forefathers have taught to us. आदि काल से, वेद काल से, पुराण काल से जो पूर्वजों ने जिया और दिया विरासत में हमको मिला, हम गर्व महसूस करना चाहिए. We should feel proud, and we should make our children also to feel proud about our heritage, our culture. I am not talking about religion. Religion is a way of worship. I am not concerned about it. This is left to individuals. Then the Prime Minister also rightly said the other day in Canada, Hindu is not a religious concept. It's not a narrow religious concept. It's a broader cultural identity of this nation. It's a way of living. We should feel proud of the way of living of our country, which our forefathers has given to us. And we should project it worldwide. Unfortunately, we are having a distorted picture in the country because thanks to some Western-minded and Soviet-minded intellectuals who have crept into the system, who influenced the system also and then degraded everything, following Macaulay's mindset. There is a need to come back to roots. You must feel proud that you are a Gujarati. You must feel proud that you are a Ahmedabadi. I must feel proud I am a Nellurian. But all of us should feel proud that we are all Bharatiyas and we are Indians. That sort of a विविधता में एकता, भारत का विशेषता, अलग भाषा, अलग वेश, फिर भी अपना एक देश. Irrespective of caste, creed, sex, religion and region, India is one. We are one nation, we are one people. We should, that thinking also should be developed. At the same time, nobody should forget the mother, then the motherland and the mother tongue. And another fascination now is learning English. English requirement is there. Learn English, but do not forget Gujarati. It is your mother, beautiful language. Feel proud. When you are talking to other Gujaratis, speak in Gujarati only. Don't speak in tutti-frutti English. Tutti-frutti ice cream is good, but tutti-frutti English is not good. You must feel proud. Every Indian language has got its own richness. And the language also denotes culture. So feel proud about it. And today, friends, I am happy that this university is coming out with this new innovative school for smart city development, and I hope that others will take this leap from this and then try to inculcate it. The first of its kind in the country. I am happy to be here for this inauguration of this smart city development school, and the innovative process of selecting smart city aspirants for financing by the central government is also going to take place. The selection also is going to be on the basis of city challenging. What is the capacity of the city? What is your population? What is your revenue? What is your expenditure? What is your ratio of employees? In number of places, employees are taking away 85%, 90% of the revenue. Then what else is there for development? So the revenue, the ratio has to be maintained properly. And secondly, what is the rating of your sanitation? What is the rating of your water supply? What is the rating of your power supply? What is the rating of your solid waste management? What is your credit worthiness? Then only somebody will invest. If you don't have credit worthiness, then who will invest? You people, Gujaratis knows it better. So you have to be credit worthy. So all these smart cities will be selected on the basis of this. Credit worthiness, sanitation, then solid waste management, and then revenue collection, and then the boldness to levy taxes, and then show people also development. Taxes should be linked with development. Without development, nobody will pay taxes. Without taxes, you cannot have development. These two things should go together. So I think in the coming days, this school will become standalone and then inspire many people, and then you will be supplying the needed technical support for the cities that will be coming. There will be clamor across the country. It's catching up. Smart city concept is catching up. It is difficult but not impossible. It will catch up minds of the people, and then everybody will think, अबे देखो ये शहर अच्छा बन गया, ये शहर ने अच्छा उदाहरण प्रस्तुत किया, and then they try to follow others also, and then the demand will be more, and then you have to supply more people also. So the beginning has been made, a new idea has come. I'm happy that this will succeed. Friends, now I will just tell one last sentence and then close. Now India is being recognized and respected worldwide. Wherever our Prime Minister is going, you are seeing the response is getting. The response is not only for Narendra Modi, the response is for India and India's greatness. People feel that India's time has come, and they want to do business with India. They want to learn from India. So that being the case, we here in India, all of us should have only one agenda, that is development, development, development only. We should not distract from the agenda. This should be the national mood, and people should come and support the initiatives of the Honorable Prime Minister, who is trying hard to reach the expectations of the people. Expectations are very high, that's another problem. In this country, people are thinking, Narendra Bhaiya, सब कुछ हो जाएगा, सब कुछ हो जाएगा. इतना आसान नहीं है, इतना आसान नहीं है, असंभव भी नहीं है, आसान नहीं है. इसके लिए मेहनत करना पड़ेगा, मिलकर काम करना पड़ेगा. Center and states has to work together, and without hard work, nothing can be achieved. And now the Prime Minister is working very hard. He is making all of us also to work hard. But only thing is, you need people also to support. People also need to support. Now a big debate is going on about this land acquisition. Land acquisition will be only 0.5%. Well, propaganda is being made as if everybody's land is going to be taken away. Nobody's land is going to be taken away. And moreover, I would like to know from my friends if there is a way to have projects without land, to have a railway line without land, to have an electrical line without land, to have a port without land, to have an airport without land. If somebody, it's a fact that we have made so much advancement in technology, in space technology, NASA, space technology. But I have not yet come across any space knowledge where you can build a railway station in the space. It has to be built on the land. For that you require land. So land has to be acquired. And then farmer has to be adequately compensated. Without that, you could not have got a nano here. You will not get Maruti here. You will not get other industries. You will not get this much opportunity, job opportunities. So the point is, the agriculture is becoming unremunerative. There has to be some shift. And then the agriculturists, do you want to keep them always in misery? Do you want to keep them always, their children, with those work only? You don't want them to get some white-collar employment? The rural people also wanting to become partners in development. Their children also needs jobs. No agriculturist wants his son to be an agriculturist. Doctor wants his son to be a doctor. Actor wants his son to be an actor. Even the face is not good, still he wants his son to be an actor. And the teacher wants his son to be a teacher. And professor wants his son to be a professor. Businessmen want to be son as businessmen. And no farmer wants his son to be a farmer, because agriculture is becoming unremunerative. They also need jobs. They also need employment. And if you lay a national highway on both sides, the land price will go up. I need not explain you. When these factories have come here, what is the land cost now in Sanad? What is the land cost in the national highway, this side and that side, in Gujarat, Baroda, this express highway? What was the cost of land earlier? What is the cost of land now? Even about the airports also, after the airport has come, how the land has gone up and how the farmers are benefited. So now government is there to take care of the interests of the farmers. We need to support each other in developmental activities. We have missed a lot. We are lagging behind. We should have been much ahead of the world, other communities. But for whatever reason it is, we are lagging behind. So nobody should obstruct the growth. Nobody should obstruct the developmental activities. And we should make the rural people also part of the development. Disinformation campaign should not be carried on this land acquisition. I want people also to participate in this national level debate on this land acquisition also. The government have nothing to hide. We said we are ready to take care of well-meaning suggestions. Already 9 amendments have been moved. If a farmer, small farmer loses his land, he will get a job. Guaranteed now, mandated. Job also is mandated now under the new provisions of the Act. So 13 central acts which do not cover 4 times compensation, they also are brought now. The Central Electricity Act, the National Highway Act earlier, that was not there in 2013 Act. Now that also has been brought. I want people and universities, the last point I want to say, to participate in public life. Universities should not be simply research centers alone. They should do the research. They should also enhance the academic standards. They should become knowledge hubs. At the same time, they should debate larger public issues. American universities does it. And then thereby the leadership also emerges. Somehow our country, universities, they keep a little distance from public life. I want them to join public life. I am not saying that university should become a hotbed of politics. No, that's not my intention. The academic debate should go on. What is this land acquisition? What is this black money new bill that is coming? What is this Make in India? Prime Minister has given a slogan. He has given a 3S mantra: skill, scale and speed. Skill, scale and speed. What is this 3S mantra? And then he has given a program called as MISI-DC. MISI-DC is the name I have given. The program he has given, but the name I have given. MISI-DC means MI, Make in India. SI, Skill in India. Skill India. DI, Digital India. CI, Clean India. That is called as MISI-DC program of Narendra Modi. So we need to discuss these programs. We need to debate these programs in a more meaningful and constructive manner. Such debates can take place in the universities. Such debates can take place in universities without political overtones. And then the combined knowledge, collective wisdom should emerge and it should guide the other people. So I hope that this Gujarat Technological University, which has taken this initiative, there are many more initiatives. I have seen the courses also that are offered. That is the need of the hour. There is inherent knowledge and talent in India. What you need is just to tap it and then give it little more polishing or push. That is what is required, because everybody in this country have some talent, inherent talent. That is very much there in this country. I hope the universities in the country will focus on further enhancing it, and the skill development program taken up by the Prime Minister, that also is taken note by everybody, and in their respective sphere of activities they take care of that program also. Friends, I am very happy once again to be here. I miss you and the Vice Chancellor. Sri Akshay Bhai has met me some time back. Without hesitation, I immediately accepted it, in spite of so much pressure from tomorrow. Day after tomorrow, Parliament is there. So tomorrow I have my MP's meeting also, but still I said I will definitely come to Gujarat. Only last week I was here because of Olavristi, the thunderstorm. I came here and I had a consultation with the Chief Minister. Normally we cannot come within 1 week, but I thought this is a very innovative, very important and very useful program initiated by the Gujarat Technological University. That's why I came here. I wish all the best for this program, and then thank you very much. Namaskar and Jai Hind.